Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. I hope you're all well. Happy Wednesday. Hope you're all having a good week. Just letting a few more people into the room. Great to see you all. We have a lovely special guest with us today, who I'll be introducing in just a moment. As always, if you can keep yourselves on mute throughout the webinar, we can then answer any questions that you have at the end, or feel free to pop them in the chat box as always, and then we can answer them for you. We probably will get a few more people into the room as we go, a few late starters. This is being recorded, so if you do need to dash off and leave, please do not worry. We will be sharing it with you afterwards. So today we have Danny. Welcome, Danny. Danny is from Vish. We've got a masterclass here on really looking at eliminating colour waste, increasing profit in your salon. I'm going to say no more, Danny. I don't want to spoil your presentation. Straight over to you.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Hello and welcome, everyone. Good morning. And thank you for joining and finding out a little bit about what we're doing at Vish. So what I was going to do today is, obviously, I'll introduce myself in a second, but we're going to talk about, like we said, eliminating waste and generating profit for salons, and talking about the harsh reality of where the industry is at the minute, and how we can affect that. So we'll go from there. But as already mentioned, I'm Danny from Vish. I am the UK and Ireland sales manager and running things up in the UK. Whilst we're a Canadian company, we have 5 members on the UK team and 450 salons now using Vish in the UK and 2,400 worldwide. I am a hairdresser. I had my own salon for 13 years. Also a trichologist. So I'm very, very passionate about this industry. I'm currently in a hotel room, having done the Hair and Beauty charity golf day yesterday. So I love to support the industry where I can, and helping salons generate more profit whilst becoming more sustainable is really important to us. So that's a little bit about me. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen and just take you through a little presentation that I've put together for you guys. So let me just start that. So I hope everyone can see your screen. Is that all sharing well?
Yeah, all good.
Brilliant. So we're going to talk a little bit today, as I say, about leveraging the data to be profitable. I think it's something in the industry that we don't actually have eyes on. You know, we don't know what things are costing us, and how much every service costs us to perform. So we're going to see how the data can affect that. So I'm going to talk you through some salon economics, the profit opportunities that are in the salon, and then hopefully at the end we have time for a question and answer session. So, financial breakdown. These are the salon costs as we see them. So we have our rent that goes towards our salon cost, our wages, what we spend on color and back bar, our operating costs. And at the end of it, we should have some profit, right? That's the aim of the game. We're in business to generate profit. So have a little think about this. Think about this from your perspective, whether that be a big salon, small salon on your own. Where's that revenue being broken down to? These are the buckets that all revenue has to go into. So our rent is obviously quite simple. That's the rent we pay on the property. Our wages include the commissions to staff. It includes our national insurance, our pension contribution, our PAYE, and our assistants and our front of house people as well. So what percentage of turnover goes on wages? How much are we spending on our color and our shampoo at the back bar? And our operating costs, what goes into that bucket is our insurances, our rates, our rent, anything like that. So paying for someone like you and all those other little expenses go into our operating costs. At the end, as I say, we should have some healthy profit. So we'll come back to that after you all had a little think. But in the meantime, let's go across to our next one. What are we selling? I think this is quite an interesting question. When I discuss this with people, what are we selling? Well, everyone goes, oh, services. We're selling services, right? But I think the fact is we're not selling services. We box them up as services in the industry. And as a hairdresser in my own salon, I was guilty of doing the same. We sell a regrowth tint or we sell a half head of highlights. But the reality is what we're actually selling is our time, and we're selling product. But as an industry, what we do is we put those two things in a box, we tie a little bow on them, and we deliver it. And we call that a service, whether it be a regrowth or a balayage. But the reality is we need to start thinking about them as time and product, because we are selling time and we are selling product. So we're no longer just selling a service. And why are we not selling a service? Because of the complexity. There's a lot of complexity about selling a service, because we need time, we need product, but we actually charge the same price for these things. So every guest requires a different amount of hair product, a different amount of color. And that's because everyone's hair is different. More product, more time to apply it. So are we charging accurately for that? More product. I'll put here, it says, when I was hairdressing and everything was brilliant, the average time between appointments was 8 weeks. Having spoken to our partners like Salon IQ in the point of sale system and industry, that's now crept out to 17 weeks. So we're no longer just applying your standard 6 to 8 week amount of product. We're now applying a lot more color because our regrowth is double or triple because people are not coming in as regularly. That, as I say, takes more time to apply, and the cost of that product costs the business more to perform. But as an industry, we are a little bit guilty of charging the same price, regardless of the amount of time and the amount of product required. And that's because it's very difficult to work out how much it is costing us to perform those services. So the complexity is quite extreme, actually. 60 grams of product for a 6-week regrowth tint costs X, but are we charging more if they come in at 10, 11 or 12 weeks? We try to. We may say we're going to charge an extra bowl or a regrowth tint plus, for example. But then the bowl costs a different amount of money for every single person, because then we've got density to think about. If we're taking it through to the ends, if we're putting a few foils in. And then the complexity gets even more Einstein level mathematics, if you like, because every product costs a different amount of money. Our semi costs less than our permanent tint. Our bleach costs less than our high lift tint when we're doing foils. And in fact, some manufacturers, in case most manufacturers, now have multiple lighteners. Instead of the one lightener, the one famous bleach that we used to have, manufacturers now have 7 or 8 different lighteners. And every lightener costs a different amount of money. So the complexity is getting more and more challenging to help to enable us to charge accurately. And as a result, we find that 1 in 5 color services are no longer profitable in the industry. As I say, it's quite a powerful statement, but we were in 2,400 salons, and that statistic there comes from the data that we see. And that is because people need more product and we're not charging accurately for it. As a result, those 1 in 5 color services mean that we win on some and we lose on others. And as an industry, we've been happy with that. We're fine. It's okay. We're winning on some, we're losing on others. It will even out. The problem is no other industry charges like that. Not one other industry that I come across will win on some and lose on others. If we go for dinner and we order an extra bowl of broccoli and an extra bowl of chips at the table, we're going to pay for them. In hairdressing, if you come in at 10 weeks instead of 6, you get 4 weeks worth of color for free. And that's not a sustainable thing to do for the industry in terms of profit, but it also means we're using more product and not charging for it. So we need to start charging like it's 2024 rather than 1975. And I think the thing is color used to be very cheap. It used to be very cheap. Now it's very expensive. And as I say, then the complexity makes things worse. So we need to start charging accurately. Some of the other elements of Vish and what we see in the data is that 1 in 5 color services are not profitable. Absolutely. But 27% of all color in the industry is wasted. 27%. It's 1 in 4 tubes. Absolutely crazy high. And again, that statistic comes when we install Vish, we measure the waste in the first 30 days. And 27% is the average. Some are better, don't get me wrong, but some are worse. But that affects profitability. We then have this other element, and as a trichologist, I'm quite passionate about this, that 20% of all products in the industry is actually attributed to over-application. And why that is because we, as hairdressers, we dispense more product than we require, because I don't want to run out. So Vish can help with the waste. It helps us eliminate the waste. It also helps by telling you, start with less in the bowl, but don't worry about running out. Because at any point you can come back to Vish and say, give me another 10 grams of what I did earlier. And it will tell you what to put in the bowl to make the same formula. So the profit of the industry is something that we're really, really passionate about, as I say. So let's have a look. Let's go back to what we were talking about earlier with our salon economics. So in 2013, against 2023, this is the state of the industry. 15% rent. And the 15% stays the same in that 10-year gap, because whilst rents have increased, we've also increased our prices in the salon. So it's still at 50%. Wages have actually increased over the last 10 years to 50%. These figures, by the way, everyone, is partly based on my salon when I had my salon, but also the amount of customers that we speak to at Vish. They do like to share information as we help them along the journey. And so we've taken these figures from many, many salons. And these are the averages across the board. As I say, wages have increased. Why? Well, national insurance has gone up. We're now having to pay a pension contribution as well. So it's now 50% of turnover in the industry. Our back bars dramatically increased. And the reason for that, again, color costs have gone up. Everything has gone up in price. But some manufacturers, without naming names, have had a 23% compound increase over the last 13 months. 23%. Ask yourselves this question: if you put your prices up 23%, I can guarantee no one has. We've all done a price increase, but not to that extreme. So therefore, the cost of doing services has increased to 15%. Our operating costs have also gone up. We all know about the energy and the cost of energy going up. So they have gone up a little bit as an overall percentage of our turnover, but not as much as our back bar. The problem is, and again, I hope you ask yourselves this question: where does all your revenue go into those buckets? In 2013, things were rosy, 15% profit, happy days, nice Porsche, nice holiday. 2023, we are seeing the salons at 0%. 3% would be seen as a bonus at the minute. And it's very difficult to generate profit. So we look at those buckets at Vish and say, where can we actually make a difference? We can't change your rent. We can't change your wages. Your operating costs are made up of many, many, many different elements, but we can change that color cost. The color cost for most businesses as an outgoing is the second highest after their wages. Some will say rent's in there, depending on where you are in the country and how much the rent is. But color is a very, very high cost to the business. But now it's something that we can control, or certainly help to control. So it isn't all doom and gloom, because there are profit opportunities in the business. And these are things that, as salon owners, as business people, we look at and we go, right, let's just do more services. Brilliant. Let's increase our turnover. But the problem with doing that is that if we are at 3% profit, not the 0, at 3, we would have to do £34,000 in revenue to generate just £1,000 in profit. So sometimes revenue will not create that profit. Just by being busier will not create profit. Being busy is great if there's a margin. So first thing we need to do is increase that margin. As I say, that's 650 extra services for £1,000 of profit. And that's very difficult to do without burning out the team, without doing longer hours, etc. And sometimes taking on more staff isn't going to sort the problem whilst the costs are high. We can increase the average bill, and obviously we do this in the industry. I'm hoping everyone on this call has increased their prices at some point within the last 12 months, but we only do it once a year. Now, the problem with that is that during that year, if our prices are here, we raise them, everything comes and overtakes it. So by the time we get 12 months later, we're behind the curve again. We're not up at where we should, because everyone else increases prices almost monthly when you go into your supermarket, or they base it based on when the costs to them go up. You know, how flights will fluctuate based on the fuel price. It's dynamic. In hairdressing, by doing it once a year, it's not dynamic enough, because by the time we come back round to it, we're behind it, as I say. Also, when we increase our prices, and this is something that we talk a lot about at Vish, is that if we increase our prices by 5%, what we're actually doing is penalizing loyalty. We're penalizing those guests who come in every 5 or 6 weeks by putting our prices up. We should be rewarding those people for coming in regularly, not by putting their prices up. But the people who come in every 10, 11, 12 weeks for their color are still getting an element of that for free. So we do want to increase our average bill. And one of the ways that Vish we recommend that salons do that is charge accurately for every service and based on the amount of color that is being provided. Now at Vish, what we can do is we know the cost of every bowl. We know how much it's cost the business to perform that service. And as an industry, going back to the pricing, we do this service and we include an average amount of product. When the average amount of product has been exceeded, when that threshold has been broken, Vish knows that, and it will tell you to charge your guest £4.22 more, £6.84, because we've exceeded the threshold. We've needed more color. That is pure profit rather than the business absorbing that. And that increases the average bill without penalizing those people who don't need it. The next part, obviously, is number 3 on my page there, and that's reduce costs. Yeah, absolutely. This is what we want to do, I think, as an industry. I think it's the first thing we all look at. Let's reduce costs. Let's get rid of this. Let's find somewhere else for a different supplier or whatever it may be. But they're very small incremental things. By changing your coffee to a different coffee might be better for the business, but it's not going to make a big difference on the balance sheet at the end of the year. But by eliminating that 27% waste, that's pure profit to the business. If we're spending £2,000 a month on color, at Vish, we say we can save you between 20 and 50% on your color spend, 20 to 50%, by eliminating those 2 different types of waste I mentioned earlier, the waste in the bowl and the over application on the head. My team, when I had a salon, they'd be very good at hiding waste from me. Not maliciously, but they go, "Oh, Danny, my bowl's empty." I was like, "Oh," but I didn't know what they were dispensing beforehand. Therefore, I don't actually know what it's cost me to perform that service. So using the data that Vish provides, we have a visibility all of a sudden on what things are costing us to perform those services. So let's reduce your cost by reducing the biggest one, color. There's 20 to 50% is basically profit because it's going straight on the bottom line and helps us to invest more in the business. And then, as I say, we leverage the technology to do those things. And that's not just Vish, it's Salon IQ, it's other technologies that we can use. Whether we like it or not, and I don't think many people do, the hairdressing industry is a technology business. Every industry is now a technology business because we have to use it. When I started hairdressing a few moons back, it was pen and paper. And now we have systems like Salon IQ to do all this for us. We have to leverage technology, whether we like it or not, to ensure that the complexities around running a hair salon are taken care of for us and helping us along the way. And that's what we're doing at Vish in partnership with Salon IQ and our integration with them. So the impact of Vish, I think this is where we sort of go, right, yes, things aren't great, profit margins aren't great, but we can have an impact now by leveraging that technology. And how do we do that? So by eliminating the waste and charging accurately, that's our game. That's our goal at Vish. So this is where we are at the minute, that 0% profit. But let's start to get people involved with Vish. Let's start reducing our back bar. Our back bar is reduced. It's gone down to 10%. We've eliminated those wastes. And we started charging accurately. We've started charging for that incremental £5 here or £7.22 if a guest needs more product. And now all of a sudden, that's gained us 5% profit, 5% accurate charging, and 10% profit. Things are starting to look rosy. And all we've done is eliminated some waste and charged accurately. Now, accurate charging, people go, "Oh, an extra £5.22. It's fair, it's honest, it's transparent. It's to the penny what it's cost us to perform that service. So like every other industry, let's charge it. A plumber will charge for his time and the labor and the parts. The car garage will do the same. Every industry will charge based on the amount of product it's cost them. So with Vish, a Vish average salon, which is 6 to 12 months of using Vish, we're now generating profit. 12 months plus. Our top salons in our network are at 4 to 5% cost of service. They've reduced their back bar to 7.5% now because they are doing no waste. They are dispensing less product. They're using the technology to help them do a great service. Their accurate charging's increased because they've been doing it more regularly. And now we're seeing salons quite regularly now at Vish with 17.5% profit. And then that is a game changer. And all we've done here with Vish is affect the color aspect of a business, that massive cost to the business. We've given visibility on what we should be charging, and we've eliminated waste. So we've grown that profit margin without having to do anything drastic. The great thing about this is the profit margin that we want to see for the business. It's what the business and what the industry deserves. And it's something to, you know, as an industry, we pay national minimum wage to apprentices, but salons are struggling to find apprentices at the minute. But that's because we pay national minimum wage. It's not a desirable industry. We're paying the same amount of money as if we are stacking shelves in Tesco's. Actually, you could probably get paid more by stacking shelves in Tesco's than being a hairdressing apprentice. So it's not desirable enough. If we're generating more profit, we can pay more money. We pay for loyalty with our team members. We can pay our apprentices more. We can invest money in training or better Christmas do and start keeping the money in the business rather than in the color house. And that's what we're trying to do at Vish. I don't want to keep you for too long, so I wanted to keep it short, but I wanted to talk about a couple more things while I've got you guys. Firstly, it is our integration with Salon IQ. That's why we're here today, because of our partnership with them. So Vish is integrated with Salon IQ, meaning we know what every guest is booked in for. We know what guests are booked in and what time they are. Vish stores every color note, and it stores it without the waste. And we also store that information on Salon IQ automatically for you. So I think the point of that is we're trying to make this thing easy. We're trying to help the team become more accurate with their colors. They can mix up a smidge of something and know they can replicate it. And our integration with Salon IQ just takes that to another level. As I say at Vish, we are about being sustainable and eliminating waste and charging accurately. But I wanted more to talk less about Vish today, but more about the situation that the industry's in, using the data that we have at Vish to just share with you guys that this is what is happening in the industry. And it's not the same for everyone. I appreciate that, but we can have an impact. And I really hope in the last 20 minutes, 25 minutes or so, you found that interesting. And we can go from there. Sam, thank you.
Thanks, Danny. That very insightful. A couple of things that I've noted down. I've got some questions to go through as well in just a moment. But some things, you know, kind of open my eyes up to is, you know, we're not selling a service. We package what we do in as a service. We're selling our time, which is huge, and product ultimately. You know, predominantly their back bar. And another one there, 27% of the color is wasted. That's huge. That's
is.
And with that over application, which it can be, or I need to make sure I use all my color up, as Danny's gonna notice it. So that was extra color when they don't overlay that color more and more onto the hair.
Yeah, it's what we see in the data. So, you know, you may have someone in the salon using 70 grams of product for a regrowth, and then someone else in the salon's using 160. And you're like, well, and it's not malicious. It's we mix up more than we need because it keeps the math simple. If I'm going to mix up half a tube, quarter of a tube, quarter of a tube, I can do that. I don't have to worry about the maths. So I do that. It's more than I need, but I know then my guest is getting the exact color that I'm wanting to create. If I try to make a little bit of that, I might get the ratios wrong. And this is a powerful chemical color, right? It's a very powerful color, especially when we're using mixed tones and things. So Vish is doing the maths for me. And that is how we can reduce. So we dispense too much, we then apply too much. Whereas if we started with less in the bowl, and I do run out, it doesn't matter, come back, give me another 20 grams of what I did earlier, and Vish will tell you what to put in the bowl. And that way we don't have to over apply out of habit. And there is a bit of a change in what we're trying, you know, in routine or what have you. But it's a change that is very easily done because you have the backup of the maths being done by Vish.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. We've got one question come through here. How do clients feel when you mention you've used more color today, so I'll have to charge more?
Again, I think it's a great question, and a question that we get asked quite regularly. I think the first thing to mention when we install Vish, we sort of take you on a journey. We call the first 30 days delighting the stylist. And what we mean by that is just get used to using the technology. Don't be trying to charge extra from day one. Let's eliminate the waste. Let's be sustainable, because this is about sustainability, right? Putting 27% of your color down the drain is not good. It's not good.
Oh,
You
no.
put it in a bin, it goes to landfill because you can't recycle color. You can incinerate it, but you can't recycle it. So it will most of the time just go to landfill or down the drain. So let's be more sustainable. And we start talking about that from day one of using Vish. You can start having that communication with your clients. Oh, we're being more sustainable. We're eliminating all the color waste. But what it will do in the future is it's going to tell me exactly what it's costing me to perform that service. What we do have with salons is say, we're not doing a price increase this year, but we are going to charge for the additional product required instead. Again, reward that loyalty, reward those people who come in regularly. So it's about a communication piece. It's something we can help with. It's something we can recommend based on the other salons that use Vish. And it's a case of, yeah, just have that community, have that. But it's about removing the gray area. It's about transparency.
Yeah.
Yes, Mrs. Smith, I'm going to charge you an extra £6.22. Oh, why is that? Well, you've come in at 10 weeks, not 6 this time. So I've needed more product. They're used to it in every other aspect of their lives. Every other aspect of their lives, they pay for what they've had. In hairdressing, they've just been used to getting it for free. And yes, so it is a bit of a change. But instead of charging random prices or a massive price increase, we're just charging fairly. And I think that's a good message to send.
Yeah, we've got him, Lisa Phillips, who's already using Vish, has responded to that as well in the
Hi,
chat.
Lisa.
It's all about educating the client first. It's educating the client, being transparent, as you've just said, so they know there's no surprise and they understand why.
Yeah, it is. And like I said, it's they understand why. The Vish, you can actually take over your phone or your tablet, and the new version of Vish that got launched this year actually has a summary. So it's in black and white, and you can be honest with them. I think you should be honest. This is how much it's cost us £22 4p in product today. And they go, really? Oh my God, But it also shows you that they put in three ingredients into that bowl. You haven't just gone out to this special room, you put one box off the shelf and come out and voila. We are creating incredible colors in this industry. It's not done by chance. It's done by talent. Let's show the clients that, and have that honest conversation with them.
Yeah, and I think you really hit a point there as well. And being a previous hairdresser myself, we've got a very complex formula.
Yes, extremely.
It's very difficult to mix a very small amount of maybe 3 or 4 colors, whereas Vish takes care of that, which is a big relief, I think, for a stylist trying to get that same color again if they need it.
Absolutely. We did when Oway launched Customizer Agri-Color. We were at the launch using Vish to do it, and a couple of things that came out of that. One was that Sarah Streetley had done a model, a block with her scales, not Vish scales, and she did the other half with Vish, and the Vish half was bang on what it was on the swatch because it's accurate. It's doing it to 0.1 of a gram of what those manufacturers' instructions are. The ratios are all worked out for you, so you don't have to worry about following manufacturers' instructions and doing, all those sorts of things. The other thing was we were mixing up 5 grams of color, and it had 4 ingredients, and we were doing it bang on because you can be that accurate with it without the fear of mathematics. And I keep saying that, but it's important. We don't want to worry about the maths. I'm not a mathematician, but it is very complex.
Yeah, definitely. Danny, how can we get more information? I've got Christine would like a little bit more info on Vish. How do we get more information or reach you?
So in the chat, I've put in a book a demo with myself link. So that takes you straight to my calendar. Now in that, it's a half an hour, but I will show you Vish in action, show you some data from what we see and how we do it. And you can fire as many questions to me as you want. And that is probably the best way. You can have a look at our website at getvish.com. And that will give you some good information. But the real insight is about seeing things. We're very visual hairdressers. So I can, on a Zoom call, I can share my screen and show you the app in action, take you through the different features, share some data from salons that have allowed us to share, that they're happy for us to share. So you can see what we see. And that is fluctuations in usage, fluctuations in people, in teams of team members. Some are profitable and some aren't. And it's about what we do to help them. So yeah, if you click that link, if I also put in my email address into, if I stop my share, I can put my email address into the chat as well. And then you can just get in touch with me at any time. And if we want to book a demo, we can. If you just have some more questions, we can do anything we can there.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Danny, for your time. Very insightful. Any questions, obviously, please fire them over to Danny. Keep an eye out for our next webinar coming on the 26th of June on knowing your numbers. This has been recorded, so we'll send this out to you as well to relook at, rewatch anything that you want to. Thank you so much, Danny, and to everyone who's joining, and we'll see you all again soon.
Thanks, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure. Please reach out if you want any more info, but good luck with everything, and thanks again.
Thanks, Danny. Speak soon.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.